what if Martha Jones never stayed with the Doctor? This world line is a direct continuation of the previous episode, what if Rose stayed with the Doctor after the events of Doomsday. For me personally, this was the best way to tackle the question regarding Martha leaving. The last video was the Smith and Jones adventure with the Jadoon on the moon. However, I've formatted this in a way where you don't actually need to watch it. All you need to know is that Rose is still here after the events of Doomsday. But I will leave that video in the description if you want to check it out. With that said, let's get on with the video. During the events of the Shakespeare Code episode of the Prime BBC universe, Rose and Martha's relationship becomes a little bit rocky. Inevitably, they were going to clash at some point, and Rose's jealousy towards Martha starts to unravel when they go to watch the performance of Shakespeare's play, Love Labour's Lost. Martha shouts Author and a cheering crowd copies her, Martha unknowingly starting off a trend. Do they shout Author? The Doctor replying, they do now. Rose silently scoffing at the thought of it. The jealousy continues when they go to talk to Shakespeare, with him taking a liking to Lady Martha Jones from Fredonia. Rose can be heard mumbling underneath her breath, geez, does everyone like her? She's not even that pretty. Later, out in the court, Martha jumps into action, trying to save a drowning Linley who is not submerged. As he begins to go into cardiac arrest, she ensures the onlookers, trying to make him comfortable that she is a doctor and she can help. With a snarky comment coming from Rose saying, well, not yet. She does hear the comment, but she's too busy dealing with the dying man in front of her. So it goes unaddressed, with the Doctor telling them that it's witchcraft. Later on, the Doctor chooses to go back to the TARDIS and leave Rose and Martha to go to sleep in the room with the single bed. This is when Martha confronts Rose's attitude towards her, being like, what's your deal? You've been off with me ever since I stepped foot on the TARDIS. Rose tells Martha about the relationship that her and the Doctor have, everything that's led up to that point so far. And in this world line, this is when she actually confesses her love for the Doctor. Martha, with no intentions of causing a rift between them, tells Rose that she's not interested in the Time Lord, although secretly is after the kiss on the moon. Anyway, they finally make up after the girly chat, with the rest of the Shakespeare Code playing out as normal, with the witches using the words their science of the Lost to History's play Love's Labour's Won to summon and manifest the swarm of Carrionites. However, the Doctor comes up with the idea of using Shakespeare's words to reverse the process, with Martha adding good old JK Expelliarmus to seal their fate and send them back. After the day is won, the Doctor, thinking that the two companion dynamic worked and being in a very happy place, invites Martha to stay with them a little bit longer. However, she refuses, due to the complex emotions of feeling like a third wheel. So she respectfully declines and they take her back home. With all three of them saying their goodbyes, the Doctor doesn't realise the ongoing broadcast, dematerialising and heading towards the next adventure, unaware of the major timeline change that had just happened, which is not going with Martha to investigate the Lazarus experiment, leading to Martha and her family tragically not making it out alive, with a demonstration of immortality going wrong, mutating the DNA of Richard Lazarus. The remaining human cocktail of a monster is finally stopped by Mr. Saxon, which earns him goodwill with the British public, which was perfect timing regarding the upcoming election. Utopia. The TARDIS parks in Cardiff to refuel itself with the energy from the Torchwood time rift. Former companion Captain Jack Harkness jumps onto the outside of the TARDIS, making the machine travel to the end of the universe trying to shake him off, going as far as 100 trillion years into the future. Surrounded by the cannibalistic humanoids called the Future Kind, Rose, the Doctor and Jack escape to the safety of Silo 16, where the last of humanity waits to board a rocket to Utopia. With Jack using his immortal abilities to survive the steg radiation, he fixes the rocket's coupling, making it viable to launch. However, Rose does not notice that Professor Yana, the rocket's designer, has a fob watch exactly the same as the one that turned the Doctor into a human due to the timeline change. However, with the Doctor's presence and talking about time and space, Professor Yana still discovers the watch and opens it, changing his biology back to being a Time Lord and revealing his true identity, the Master. Chanto and the Master mortally wound each other, but the Master makes his escape on the TARDIS while regenerating. Humanity's last rocket takes flight, while the Doctor, Jack and Rose are stranded with the Future Kind. The Doctor repairs Jack's vortex manipulator, and along with Rose they teleport to London in June 2007, which is a day after the general election. In the Prime BBC universe, this is the events of The Sound of the Drums, in which the Master has hypnotized the world with a network of mobile phone satellites. This is called Archangel. Along with the goodwill of stopping the Lazarus experiment, this allows him to be elected as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. With Rose having no family to be used against her within this timeline, this gives the Doctor and companions more time to actually come up with a strategy of how to breach the Valiant and take on the Master. While the Master televises the Toclafane invasion, ordering billions of them to wipe out a tenth of the Earth's population. However, slowly but surely, the Master becomes increasingly on edge, knowing that the Doctor's out there, and becomes more abusive towards his wife. And as more time passed, becoming less tactical, ordering the Toclafane to do more acts of genocide, hoping to draw the Doctor out. The Doctor slowly puts the pieces together and figures out who the Toclafane are, coming to the logical conclusion that he must have cannibalized the TARDIS, turning it into a paradox machine. Meanwhile, Captain Jack travels to the Himalayas to find his Torchwood team. 3 months later, the Doctor and companions along with Torchwood return to England. The Doctor did some jiggery-pokery to the Vortex Manipulator, linking it up with the Cardiff Torchwood time rift. Using it as a gateway, they all step through, breaching the Valiant from the inside. Rose and the Doctor go to confront the Master, while Jack and Torchwood go to find the paradox machine. The Doctor and Rose execute the same plan that Martha did, using his own satellite technology against him, instructing the people of Earth to think about the Doctor just at the right time when they go to confront the Master. With the world's combined thoughts traveling through the network, they are able to empower the Doctor with psychic energy. The Master tries to aid him but can't. Jack and Torchwood finally destroy the paradox machine. As the Doctor offers friendship to the Master, the descendants of humanity are sent back, undoing all the events of the previous 3 months. Knowing that he can't age the Doctor, the Master turns his laser screwdriver over to Rose. With the genetic code of humans being the default, he ages her by 50 years. But suddenly, Lucy Saxon pulls out a gun and points it towards the Master. Shooting the Master, he falls to the floor, but he refuses to regenerate. The Doctor begs him to regenerate, not only because they're the last of their kind, but also for Rose as well, with the Master laughing at the fact that there is no reverse polarity on the laser screwdriver. The Master: "It's DNA lock, Doctor. I win." The Doctor watches as the Master bleeds out, while holding a 72-year-old Rose. But that's another story for another time when we continue this world line in Part 3, Withered Rose. 2016 Coal Hill Academy. The classroom transforms before our eyes into an apocalyptic hellhole, almost like reality itself was being rewritten by the darkest twisted mind into an alternative shadow realm. Miss Quill steps out into the airy hallway, taking a deep icy cold breath. Exhaling, she calls out, only to hear her own voice echoing back off the walls. It was becoming increasingly clear that the solitude of the building was her only companion. Roaming the hallways, she turns a corner. Finally, another lost soul to pontificate the situation with. "It's you, isn't it? The face and box is different from the last time we spoke, but it's you, isn't it?" The voice of the other replies, "Before you ask too many questions, it's important that you eat this." Grabbing the small pill from his hand, she swallows it. But before doing so, she cheerfully says, "Well, you're the Doctor." However, the moment that the pill slides down her throat, she has an horrific realization. The realization that she turned the wrong corner. Bellowing out in severe pain, she drops to her knees. "What have you done? The Un is going crazy. I can't take this agony." Quill screams, holding back the tears on her head. The looming, shadowy Doctor: "I thought you were meant to be a warrior. Like all pain, it will pass. That's just the Un being reprogrammed." Miss Quill now struggling to get her words out. "Well, at least I'll get my freedom back once this is over." With a sly, sinister laugh, he replies, "Oh, it's not being reprogrammed for your benefit. The Un is a very easy to manipulate creature. Hey, I could have done this without the pain. But then again, that wouldn't communicate my message very well." With the floodgates open and tears streaming down her eyes, she can only look up at the Doctor, in too much pain to talk, can only use her eyes to portray helplessness. and hopes the doctor would show mercy. But she had seen no such kindness in his eyes, only eyes of judgment questioning her pathetic existence. You will not move, speak, or dare to breathe without my order. You must be dedicated only to me. Obey all my commands. Do I make myself clear? Miss Slave Quill. Sobbing with no other option, she is forced to obey his command, knowing at any second he could snap his fingers and the Un would lobotomize her. Seeing the willingness to survive in her eyes, and knowing that he is in full control, the doctor says, "Good girl. Now, if you'd be so kind as to point me in the right direction to your metaphysical engine, we can get the party really started." To negate the torment, she shows him the way.